Good evening, and welcome to Counterculture with Danielle D'Souza Gill. The culture's gone crazy, media's gone mad, and reason has become repugnant. Here, we focus on facts and how to fight back. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Hollywood's attempt to cancel any celebrity who is even remotely conservative. Right now, Guy Reffitt of Wiley, Texas, is serving out his 87-month prison sentence for the crime of being near the Capitol building on January 6, 2021. Reffitt was turned into the FBI shortly after that fateful day by his own son, Jackson, who also testified against his father, damning him to years in prison where he will undoubtedly experience intense psychological abuse as well as physical and mental trauma. Though now deprived of a father, Jackson Reffitt now has a public GoFundMe account that has garnered over $187,000 for his college fund. It appears that everything now is working out swimmingly for young Jackson. As for his father, mother, and sisters, not so much. As yet, we do not know what psychological tricks the FBI employed to get his son to turn on his own father. A savvy outsider like a special agent trained in interrogation knew just what buttons to push and what lies to ply Jackson with in order to get him to embrace the faceless police state as his new father figure. For many J6ers, this scenario is all too common. Turned in by their own neighbors, coworkers, friends, and family, many defendants have a newfound understanding for the definition of friend. They have also been disabused of the notion that the United States of 2022 is in any way superior to the early days of Nazi Germany. In fact, none of this should be surprising. For years now, our culture has been slowly transmogrifying into the spitting image of Stalin's Russia or Cultural Revolution China. Years ago, the descendants of Silicon Valley, the mainstream media, and education laid the groundwork for the tyranny we are subject to today by encouraging and emphasizing something we call cancel culture, but may also be known by what scholars of totalitarianism call a culture of denunciation. The two are one and the same. And it is a sad commentary on American life that cancel culture is so prevalent as to become almost a daily occurrence. Take, for example, the case of country music star Jason Aldean. On August 23rd, his wife Brittany posted a short video on Instagram with the comment that she is glad her parents did not use her tomboy phase as an excuse to transition her to another gender. There is nothing controversial about this sentiment. The message is life-affirming, confidence-building, and reassuring, especially to the youth of today who are constantly bombarded by corporate-sponsored messaging pushing a kind of anti-biological nihilism for profit. What is controversial is the barbaric idea that children should be cut up, drugged up with hormone therapy in an idiotic attempt to cure them of their born identity. It is this latter controversial practice that is referred to as gender-affirming care by the ghouls in the mainstream media who have reported on Brittany's unauthorized message that people should grow up loving who they were born as. But why would outlets like Billboard or HuffPost want to cover such a non-story about what a singer's wife put on Instagram? Because singer Jason Aldean has been let go by his PR firm, The Green Room, and the media all attribute this to her post. This in spite of the fact the firm never referenced anything Jason or his wife Brittany said or wrote. The firm, which started by representing Aldean and therefore practically owes its existence to his career, did not clarify why it was parting ways with the singer. They only told Billboard, quote, "Music has always been and remains the Green Room's core focus, so we had to make the difficult decision after 17 years to step away from representing Jason. We aren't the best people for the gig anymore, but we'll always be big fans of his music. He is one of the greatest live entertainers in country music." This highly complimentary statement did not stop any of the aforementioned news outlets from jumping to the same conclusion. The fact that all these outlets use the same talking points and express the same faux outrage at what is essentially a rational and healthy position seems to be a confirmation. After all, when the leftist hive mind messages in these stunningly coordinated ways, especially when the reasons are as patently insane as they are here, you have to take them at their word. If this is true, the Green Room's tactic of letting Jason Aldean go without clearly stating why has to be one of the most transparently cowardly acts of stunning and brave ever committed by a corporation. But before these articles could be written, the reporters needed help moving the overturned window for the stubbornly conservative and common sense country music fan community. That's where the tweets of two country singer wannabes come in. Both tweeters, Cassidy Pope and Maren Morris, claimed Brittany was being a bad person by not endorsing the genital mutilation of minors, and nearly every article references their inhuman hot takes. As reward for their public denunciations, both Pope and Morris seem to have gotten a significant boost in their follower numbers, which was likely their goal all along. According to Social Blade, immediately following Pope's hot take on Twitter, she went from bleeding followers to getting a jolt of almost 1,000 for 2 weeks in a row. She now sits at about 500,000 followers. Morris, on the other hand, went from gaining a mere handful every now and then to a massive boost of roughly 2,000 to 3,000 new followers per week over the course of 2 weeks. Just like Jackson Reffitt and the scores of good Germans who reported their neighbors to the SS for looking like Jews, these people did so because they knew they would benefit personally. This is what denunciation culture is all about. In 2013, the libertarian organization The Future of Freedom Foundation published an article on the culture of denunciation. That article quoted research by a historian who concluded that the majority of informants were motivated not by ideological purity, but by the desire for personal gain. The article references historian Robert Galately, who coined the term denunciation culture. Galately considered the motives of those who informed. In this endeavor, he was hindered by the file's general absence of notations as to motivation. The Gestapo did not seem to care why people were betraying others. Nevertheless, he broke the indications of motivation he found into two categories: effective, from political ideology or duty, and instrumental, for personal gain. The majority of denunciations sprang from a desire for personal gain. It remains to be seen how well this gambit will pay off for both Pope and Morris in terms of album and song sales. Spoiler alert, it won't. But at the very least, we hope Pope will one day earn enough from her sales to afford a shirt. One can only hope that in the short term at least, these people enjoy the fruits of their treachery. Because the horrible upshot of what people like Jackson Reffitt, Cassidy Pope, and Maren Morris have done is that now their friends will likewise be strongly aligned with denunciation culture. They will be surrounded by people who think nothing of turning on their own mother, much less a relative stranger like themselves, for any amount of gain, no matter how insignificant, even if it is just a few Twitter followers. For example, poor Jackson Reffitt will have to live out his next few years as a white male on a college campus, where his every word and deed will be actively scrutinized for signs of wrongthink by those closest to him. And neither Pope nor Morris have any clue what kind of hell awaits them when the social justice warrior community discovers that these so-called activists have so far failed to put their preferred pronouns in their Twitter bios. Choosing to embrace denunciation culture is choosing to live in a minefield.